السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. First of all, that's not my email address, so those of you who jotted it down, cross it out, please. If you do get a response, it wasn't me. But let me find out first how many people have heard the workshop already. How to give Shahada in 10 minutes. Everybody, yeah? I can't see the hand. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's not too bad. About 13 people in the room. That's good. Now, I don't really intend on actually giving the exact same workshop that I've been giving for the last 4 years, because I understand you have an important event coming up, and I want to make it a little bit more hands-on, and we want to do a little bit more of exercises in the class, so that when next week comes around, or was it the week after, you're ready and you're effective when it comes to your Islamic awareness week. Who in the audience will be from amongst the du'at that will stand at the da'wah tables at various times? Okay, great. Okay. All right. Let me start by saying this. Today we're going to go. This has to be here. I don't even want this thing here. Thank you. No, I'll get it. I can move one hand. You know what? I want us to have a lot of fun today, because da'wah is fun. It's not too serious. There's a lot of room for jokes and a lot of room for opinions. There are many different ways you can do it. So I want everyone to relax, and we're going to have to be with each other for the next 2 days, inshallah. So let's enjoy this very much, inshallah. Now, what was I about to start before? I was about to say something. Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, there are no hard and fast rules in da'wah. There isn't just one way to do anything, and there is no magic wand. And I have to say that because a lot of times people expect the magic wand, and they think I have a number of magic wands. So those of you who like to pull me aside during the break, and you want an inside tip, and I might just say, look, I don't give this to everybody, but here's a magic wand for you. There are none, okay? And there are many different rules and many different ways you can tackle one problem. There's so many different ways I can speak to one individual. So because of that, I would like to invite you to feel free to take and leave from whatever I say today and tomorrow. If you don't like anything I say, just leave it. It's not a problem. If you like something that I say, take it and apply it. I've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years, giving this workshop, and there are two types of people that come to the workshop. There's one group that wants to feel good that they did something Islamic for the week, that they sat at some kind of Islamic event, and they make themselves feel good by doing that. They go home and that's it. There's another group that will attend, and then they're just going to try some of these techniques. They'll just try them, right? These are the people that I get emails from around the world, and there's so many emails that I get from people who heard the workshop just online, not even necessarily those who attended. But from those who attended, there was a 15-year-old that attended, and the next day he went to school, spoke to his best friend became Muslim, and according to his words, and he's better than some Muslims that I know, some born Muslims that I know. There's some revert American living in Saudi Arabia who heard the workshop online, started giving some da'wah to the foreigners there, and this was 3 years ago or 4 years ago. It had about 53 people that came into Islam. There's another guy who sent me an email from the United Kingdom, and he was listening to the workshop online. It's like 5 parts. He heard 2.5, and he paused it to go get dinner. He said on the way, he met someone who said that, met a non-Muslim. He said, I used something from the workshop. He said something back that was expected, that you mentioned in the workshop. Then I said something back from the workshop to him, and the guy took his shahada and he became Muslim. So he said, I only heard half of the material. What happens when I hear the other half? So, of course, what happens when he hears the other half is that he gets the shahada every 10 minutes, right? No. This is just the title, and I wonder sometimes at people who they get really offended and upset at the title. Sometimes it happens. What are you talking about, 10 minutes? It's not a guarantee, it's just the title of a workshop. We're not saying that if you can tolerate me today and tomorrow, everybody you stop and talk to for 10 minutes, they can become a Muslim. And then if they don't become Muslim, maybe you spoke to them for 9 minutes and 50 seconds, and it's not my fault. So the truth is, it's not a guarantee, it's just a title. But also at the same time, people become Muslim, sometimes without you saying anything. And I always tell the story of the guy that I gave a pamphlet to, and basically he said, "What do I do now?" I said, "For what?" I said, "To become Muslim." So it can't be that I'm that good, just throw a pamphlet at him. Otherwise, I'd just rent a small airplane and throw pamphlets off at the whole city, But what happened was that he was already searching for the truth, I don't know what happened in this guy's life. Maybe he's been reading the Quran for the last 3 months and talking to people and talking to his friends, and his uncle is Muslim and so on and so forth. And then he's walking somewhere and I give him a pamphlet and he said, "You know what, that's it. That's a sign for me, I'm going to become Muslim." So all I did was just one little part, you see. So, but it is true, there are many people who have taken the workshop, they got a lot of shahadas. I always mention this young man in Canada here, heard the workshop online, I'd never met him before. So he wanted to start a dawah group, and he brought, let's say, about 160 people to Islam, but he retained 95% of them. Now, you'll hear me talking about being effective and being successful as a da'iyah. I differentiate between the two. Effective is just the person who is able to get people to take shahada at that moment. But the successful one, those shahadas, they start to pray, they memorize al-Fatiha, they learn tawheed, and they become a part of the community. That's a successful da'iyah. And I'm hoping that you don't just become effective du'at after these 2 days, that you become successful du'at. Because I don't want us to get caught up in the head count, and many people are. Many famous speakers also are caught up in the head count. All they do, they count how many shahadas. And some have incredible numbers, and I wonder how they keep count like that. They'll tell you I brought into Islam, 1,364 people. What do you have? You tattoo every time someone becomes Muslim and you count them. How do you know that? And how do you know that they remained? What is the percentage of those 1,000 that remained upon Islam? Most likely, it's a really, really small percentage. It's probably not even, I would love that it's 1 or 2% remain upon Islam. I don't want you to get caught up in head counts. After Muslim Awareness Week, everyone's trying to boast how many shahadas they got. I got 4. Oh, that's it. 6. So that's not what we want. But it's happened, Allah, it's happened so many times. So many people caught up in this head count. Did I tell you what, maybe some of you heard, maybe the worst, and the most low quality shahada I've ever seen? This guy, probably some homeless guy in Washington, D.C., asked one of the du'at, this young man, "Do you have $1?" So the guy said, "Sure. Do you know anything about Islam?" Do you already see the equation that's happening now? You see it? That, I have to bear and withstand your talk about Islam. I get $1 in the end. That's it. That's the equation already. So he starts to tell him about Islam. The guy's not paying attention. He's looking all over the place. He's just not paying attention. And as a da'i, you stop him and make sure, are you paying attention? Are you with me? And you pause, you check. Don't just keep talking. Don't just spill something that you've memorized, the script that you've memorized. And so this person in the end, he says, "So you ready to become Muslim?" He says, yeah. He just wants $1. That's all he wants. He says, "Okay, say after me. Ashhadu." The guy says the Shahada. Then he wants to hug him and everything. He says, okay, yeah, you have $1. He says, "Yeah, here's $1. Thanks." He walks away. "Wait a minute. Quran." He just grabbed it. "Wait a minute. Your phone number." "I don't have a phone number." He walks off. The brother just wanted to get that shahada. The guy wasn't listening. He wasn't paying attention. He clearly wanted his $1. But the da'iyah wanted the head count. So at the end of the day, 2 shahadas? 2. That's it. 3. So, and I'll spare you all the other examples. Okay. Anyways, so you don't have to believe everything that I tell you today or tomorrow, but I would like the test between me and you is that you go out and you try these techniques. And you might try one technique on one person, it won't work. So that guy ripped us off. It's not a magic wand, remember? You try another technique, or you try the same technique on a different person, and it might work in the end. So there are no guarantees here. What else do I want to say before we begin? Where do I point at?
But
just anywhere.
Anywhere.
Wow. Okay, very good, very good. What else do I usually start with? Make sure I get all the points here. Yeah, I remember now. Feel free to disagree with me. You know, a lot of times people think, well, you know, he came all the way from the States and he's our guest and let's show him some Calgary hospitality or whatever it is. Feel free to disagree anytime. I really welcome it. Most people don't like you to disagree with them, but I would like that. You put your hand up, you say, I disagree with you. And I don't really like you anyways. Just go ahead, it's okay. But if you're going to do that, one of two things. One, you better have some kind of evidence from the Quran or the Sunnah, or some kind of collective years of experience, not just one thing. I'm saying collective. I'm not saying you have to be a da'iyah for 10 years in order to disagree with me. No. What I'm saying is, you know, you might say, well, over the years we have noticed this, or I've spoken to a lot of du'at and they have all said that. Now I'll tell you why I say that. One time I invited people, said, you know, feel free to disagree. This guy kept disagreeing with me on one of the only 2 points that I absolutely insist upon. And in the end, I just asked him, okay, where are you getting this from? He said, I'm guessing. He was just guessing. So I'm giving you years of collective du'at who've experienced the same thing and it's been proven and tested, and you tell me you're just guessing? So don't disagree with me based on a hunch, but feel free to disagree based on, you know, whatever evidence you have or whatever kind of study you have. And it doesn't have to be a study done by Muslims. It could be even, you know, a psychologist said X. That's fine. Feel free to disagree. Okay? So I welcome that anytime. And I know in every community there is that guy. There is that guy who disagrees with everything. Everything. You know? Good morning. It's actually 12:01. It's afternoon. Argue about everything. You know? And just as a joke now, they tell you there was this guy, and they were talking about this guy, these 4 people sitting together. He said, you know, brother so-and-so argues about everything. You cannot sit with him for 10 minutes without him arguing with you. So one of the people at the gathering said, oh yeah, I guarantee you I can go sit with him for half an hour and I'll never argue with him. They said, no way. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, he's going to find a way to argue with you. So I bet you I can go and sit with him for half an hour and we can never get into an argument. They said, okay, go ahead and do it. So then he goes to the guy's house. He knocks on the door. Argumentative guy says, who is it? He says, it's me. He said, no, it's not. If I catch people dozing off, I'll tell you a few jokes. Got a lot of good jokes, right? Okay, it's probably time to get started, I think. But I just didn't want anyone to get two things. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. I don't want you to think you'll be getting a magic wand. That's number one. Or that everyone will become Muslim if they spend 10 minutes with you. Number two, I don't want you to think that everything, that you're going to be wasting 2 days of your life. That a lot of people have become, very successful da'at from attending this exact same workshop. And I think we're going to up it up a little bit this time and do a little bit more training and back and forth so that you can be more ready for your Islamic Awareness Week. And I've got another workshop. It's called Dawah Power. It's a bit longer, and there we discuss. Because you have the truth. The truth is really, really strong. Truth is really powerful. So no matter who it is that approaches you, they're not upon the truth. That's one thing that's a given for sure. And you're the one who's upon the truth, right? So when you're upon the truth, it doesn't matter who's coming at you. You know that you have the upper hand. And that's why some people might think, well, this technique is just miraculous. I used it and it worked like a charm. It's not. It's the fact that you have the truth. And the truth is so powerful. And it destroys the falsehood. As Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in the Quran, بَلْ نَقْذِفُ بِالْحَقِّ عَلَى الْبَاطِلِ فَيَدْمَغُهُ. When we throw or hurl the truth against the falsehood, Allah Azza wa Jalla describes the word يَدْمَغُهُ, which means it doesn't just put a dent on it or a hairline fracture, but it hits it so hard that the inside can be shown, can be seen. That the dumagh shows up now. So the truth destroys the falsehood. We're going to discuss the atheist. A lot of people are so worried about the atheist. How do I deal with the atheist? How do I convince the atheist? And the atheist thinks that they're the one that's rational and scientific because they don't believe in something they haven't seen or heard or touched. So they're rational. But that's not the case, actually, as you will see, inshallah. Those who believe in polytheism. You know, I've got in the course notes just one page basically on polytheism. So I was in South Africa, and the guy said to me that, you know, after we took the course, we went home, and I watched my older brother with my own eyes. He picked up the phone and called his Hindu friend since childhood, and he basically went through the page from the notes, just kept going through the arguments through that one page not in these notes, so that's another course, you know. But and he said by the time he got to the end of the page, his friend became Muslim. So I'm showing off about this story to Australia. I'm telling them to look at South African brothers; they're doing better than you guys, you know, trying to encourage them. So I'm telling the same story. The guy said, well, the exact same thing happened to me. I opened up that page on polytheism, called up a Hindu friend, and by the end of the page, the guy became Muslim. Now you might think, well, I got to get my hands on these notes. Oh, wow, this is going to be great. No, it's actually just that the truth is very strong. That's it. No magic, no genius. The truth is very powerful. We're going to look at ways of destroying Trinity or talking about Trinity without getting into, you know, chapter this, verse that. Just easy, quick and easy ways. You know, just using these concepts. All right, let's get started. One thing that's very important that I want you to understand, the two types of guidance. And it's so important for du'a to understand. Because once you understand these two, nothing can come in your way. It's so important. Nothing can come in your way once you understand these two. By the way, I am aware of how ridiculous my outfit looks with the sneakers and everything. I'm aware of that. Don't think that I don't know. I do know. But it's you know, I'm going to be standing, so bear with me. It's so important for you to know this, because when you know this, what we're going to talk about now, nothing can come in your way. There's nobody that you can't give da'wah to. It doesn't matter. So, contemplate these verses in the Quran. Allah Azza wa Jalla tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Verily, you do not guide those whom you love, but Allah guides whomever He wills. Then in another verse, Allah Azza wa Jalla tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَإِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. And verily, you guide to the straight path. So how do I understand these two verses? One says you don't guide those whom you love. The other verse says you do guide. And the answer is that there are two types of guidance, as the scholars have said. There's Hidayat al-Irshad or Hidayah Irshadiyya, Hidayat al-Tawfiq, Hidayah Tawfiqiyya. Hidayat al-Irshad, that's your job. It's when you show someone what the truth is, which is what you do as a da'iyah. You tell people, this is the truth, that's falsehood, this is the evidence I have. That's it. That's your job. The rest is up to Allah Azza wa Jalla. When Allah opens that person's heart to Islam. So if you understand that your job is just to direct someone to the truth, the rest is up to Allah, who can stop you from doing anything? Who can stop you from talking to anyone? So many times I would see someone with like piercings and tattoos, you know, in his eyeball and piercings all over the place and purple hair, and I said, I want to give that guy da'wah. People with me will always say, no, it looks difficult. All right, let's think about this, people. What's difficult? We have my job, which is to tell them about the truth, or direct them to the truth, and that's easy. And then no one would dare say the second part is difficult. So who can stop you? Who can stop? All you have to do is talk to people. You know, make it as clear as possible, wipe away and clear away as many misconceptions as possible, and then that's it. That's your job. The rest is up to Allah Azza wa Jalla. So I don't care who it is, you can talk to that person. As long as you have a language you can communicate, that's enough. You tell them about Islam, and of course, as a da'i now, you're going to find out what the problem is, find out a little bit about them. All these techniques we're coming to, inshallah, and then the rest is up to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can try them again, another time, another date. It's not a problem. Any people here afraid of rejection? Don't like to hear no? Pass out a pamphlet, someone says no, no thank you. You feel bad a little bit? Anybody? Yeah? It's not a good thing, right? When you hand someone a pamphlet and they just say, no thank you. They walk away. You're like, so, one time I gave a pamphlet to some lady. She was walking by, and I was asking, what is the purpose of life, ma'am? And she took the pamphlet from me like that. There was a trash can right next to her. She was walking really quick, very smooth, this woman. So she took the pamphlet from me like that, and she said, to find Jesus. Do it right in the trash and kept walking. Didn't even stop. Her pace didn't even slow down. What's the purpose of life, ma'am? She took it from me to find Jesus. I chucked it in the trash and kept walking. I didn't know what to do. Never experienced something like that. I was just, wants me to walk away. My friend said if she comes back, say, hey, by the way, I found him for you. Here you go. Whatever. Okay, so don't be, you might encounter people and they might tell you rudely that they don't want your pamphlet or get out of my way or whatever it is. I don't know how rude people are here, but I don't think that we imagine in the US that everyone in Canada is so much sweeter. Is that true? No? That's too bad. Okay. Well, maybe because there's more violence in the US, that's why. Because when I was in Toronto, I heard that brothers would get spit at 15 times a month when they're giving the da'wah table in the street. And in 15 years, I've never heard of a da'wah being spit at in the US. Maybe because we're crazy there. Somebody spits at you, he can expect that he will get shot, stabbed, murdered, put in a plastic bag and frozen over the year. So maybe because we're crazy, people don't do things like that in public. And maybe because people are calm here, maybe they can push it a little, I don't know. But the point is, when someone refuses to accept your pamphlet, you just thank them, tell them to have a nice day, and you keep going. We're coming to that. But I want you to understand this. Your job is just to direct someone to the truth. They become Muslim, alhamdulillah, they don't. That's fine. And you keep moving on. And there are more people to talk to, and you just keep going on and on and on. But, when you want to study something, when you want to do something, you look at what obstacles might come in your path. Some of the obstacles here, I want to move around a bit more. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
5 seconds. Let me just see. Do you think any of these might apply to you? We're talking about obstacles. What will stop me from going out and giving some da'wah? What will stop me from going out and being an active and effective da'wah? Any of these apply to you, perhaps? Yeah. You don't have to say which one, but yeah? Any of them? Maybe some of you, number 4, you're a bit shy. I feel like I'm a bit too shy, so I can't really go out there, stand in the middle of that, what do you call that room where you have all the action happening?
North Korea.
The what?
North Korea.
North Korea?
Courtyard, yeah.
Courtyard. So I can't just stand there, people are rushing off to class and I'm trying to shove pamphlets in their face. I'm too shy to do that. Maybe that's your problem. Maybe you feel that, well, I don't have enough knowledge to give da'wah. What if the non-Muslim stops me and says, listen, I want to know what the four madhahib say on this fiqh issue. Thinking, IslamQA.com. Right? So these are some of the problems. One, a lot of people expect instant results. And I want to tell you this, that when you're calling your classmates, roommates, people, co-workers to Islam, don't expect that they'll become Muslim immediately. There are a number of things. One, they could become Muslim, within a short period of time. It could be a couple of months or what have you. 2, maybe you'll spend a lot of time with them, they never become Muslim. But maybe you clear away so many misconceptions from their mind that they sympathize with Muslims. That's good for Muslims. A lot of non-Muslims understand true Islam. That's good for them. It's good when lawmakers understand true Islam, politicians understand true Islam, and they don't believe everything in the media. That's a good investment. You're not wasting your time. On top of that, you're giving da'wah. The act of giving da'wah, you get reward for it. It's not about how many people become Muslim as a result of your da'wah. Just the fact that you're standing and giving da'wah, you get reward for that. True or false? True. And that's why in many verses that we kind of skipped, where Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَى إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Who is better in speech than the one who calls to Allah, does the good deed, always the action, always calls, does the good deed, and says, I'm from amongst the Muslims. So, you get the reward just for standing and giving that da'wah. Nuh alayhi salam called his people for 950 years, and few of them believed. You're telling me he didn't get much reward for the 950? Of course he did. So, don't expect instant results. And you may say something to someone now, and they will take it with them, and 3 years later, something will happen in their life, and they'll remember you, and they'll become Muslim. We had one person, again, I'm trying to stress this point, don't expect instant results. We had one person in Virginia, and when they would give him da'wah, he would just argue adamantly. Then later on, after he became Muslim, he told them that when I used to argue with you, I was actually internally convinced with everything you said, but I just couldn't lose the argument. See? So when they're giving him da'wah, what do they see externally? He's not accepting the message, but internally he was. So they could have given up because they were expecting instant results. I always joke and say, people now, they expect to start talking to someone in the street. While they're talking, that person's beard starts to grow and grow and grow, and then he's khalas, already a Muslim. It doesn't happen like that. There's a long process that we have to go through. We have to eat kebabs, biryanis, all these things. You just become Muslim like that. Yeah? Excuse my biryani jokes, you know. And a lot of people think I like biryani because I joke about it so much. I don't hate it, but I've got issues with it. I'll explain it to you later when we talk about some other things. I have an analogy with your speech and biryani. We'll come to that. If I don't, remind me. You know, not having enough knowledge. You have, if you look, we won't disagree. The more knowledge you have, the more effective you can be, no doubt. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. But at the same time, you only need very basic knowledge of the religion in order to call someone to it. Same situation with Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. When he became Muslim, he brought to Islam 6 out of the 10 given glad tidings of paradise. So, at that time, there were not many ahkam or fiqh issues that were revealed, or even ayat that were revealed, but he took the little of truth that he knew and he brought people to Islam. You can do the same thing. Now, your best friend as a da'iyah, when you don't know the answer, is to say, there you go, that's it. Who said because you're a da'iyah, you have to have infinite knowledge? If you don't know the answer, just say, I don't know. It's the greatest and easiest thing for you. Your best friend, I don't know. So next time someone asks you, who's your best friend? Say, I don't know. Well, who do you like? I don't know. You understand? Please, people, get used to it. I don't know. It's good. It's easy. It makes your life easier. And it keeps you humble as well. Don't try to wing it. Okay? Be like George Bush, you know. Try to wing it. You make yourself sound worse. Or you get yourself in trouble. Don't. But you know what? I know I'm saying this, but a lot of times young men, they just can't say I don't know. We had a young brother, and if he doesn't know the answer, or someone says, I want to ask the sheikh a question, he says, ask me, let me try it. What is it, an exercise? You're going to try it? Let me try it, like it's a game or something. No. You're going to try it, then you might give a wrong statement, and then that person will take it with them and then act upon it. So get used to saying, I don't know. It's really, really good. You know, one of the things one of the great scholars, and they say that when a young man would come to him, and he would tell him a hadith. The hadith, the sheikh memorized it since he was 6 years old. And he knew the tafsir. And he taught it so many times, multiple times. And he taught it in khutab. They said the sheikh would sit and just humbly say, Subhanallah, like he never heard it before. Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. While the young man is telling him the hadith, it's as if he never heard it before, you know. Now, how do we do it now when someone is telling you a hadith and you know the hadith? It's like when someone wants to tell you a joke. You hear the one about the Muslim walked into an airport. It's like, yeah, I heard that one. Stop him. Someone's trying to tell you a hadith and you know it, you stop him now. One time the Prophet ﷺ was with one of the companions. Yes, that was Mu'adh bin Jabal. This hadith is narrated in Al-Bayhaqi and in Bukhari, and in Muslim there's a narration there as well, but it has so-and-so in the chain, so therefore it's weak. Go ahead. I know what you're talking about. Humble people, humble. I don't know. Fine, no, not a problem. Okay, a lot of people feel they need da'wah, and I'm sure all of us in this room feel, I would like to get some da'wah, I would like to increase my iman to this level, or my knowledge to that level. But the truth is, when you go out and give da'wah, it increases your iman. It was addictive in our school in the good old days. There were so many people who just came down when it was da'wah day. Because they wanted it, and it made them feel good to pass out some pamphlets and talk to people. It made them feel good. So it's not like you wait for your iman to increase before you go out and give da'wah. Your iman increases as you give da'wah. So try that. And at the same time, the scholars say, if you wait for number 2 and 3, you will wait your whole life till you go to your grave. And they say if you ever wake up one day and number 2 and 3 are there 100%, know that you've gone astray. If you ever wake up one day and say, Iman is 100% today, that's good. Knowledge is 100%, I'm ready now. Look out world, here I come. No, look out world, here come your bid'ah, because now you've gone astray. Number 4, we spoke about that. You know what the cure is for number 4? Who knows? What's the cure for number 4? Anybody? What? Yes, someone's shy. What do I do to this guy? What's that thing called? Courtyard?
North Courtyard.
North Courtyard.
It's like when you first go into it.
Uh-huh.
Like a cold swimming pool.
Uh-huh. Very, very nice analogy, sir. I like it. Very clever. So, it's like a cold swimming pool. When you jump in a few seconds, you're okay. That's it. You know what? No matter how many years you've been giving that, you always feel awkward in the beginning. Especially if you stop for a while, you're like, oh man. I have to start standing in front of people, yelling things at them, trying to get them to stop, eye contact, things that, it's not me to do these things. Yeah? But you know what? You call the first guy, you call the second, third, and that's it. You're used to it now. What about another solution for a shy person? How could you help another shy person? How could you help them stand there in the north courtyard and pass out material and not be shy? How can you encourage them? Yes, sir?
Take him with you first.
Yeah.
So that way he watches you and gets more comfortable.
Okay, so you're that good? Okay, so try to be with Brother Ridwan on that day. You know? You get your confidence, boost and everything. Be with him. So yeah, go with someone, have a partner with you. You could be two inexperienced people as partners, but they will encourage each other. Or one more experienced person, you go with them, and then you first time, second time, and that's it. It gets better. Number 5, one problem is a lot of people don't know who they're talking to, and they assume, and they just keep going through their script. You tailor your talk based on the individual, all right? Because, what if I told you right now that there's someone out there he or she, there's just a person out there that needs da'wah. Can you prepare your script here and go out and read it to them? Who can do that? Because if you can do that, I'm going to sit down, I want to hear from you, because that's incredible. No one can do that. Because what if you open that door and you go out, and that person was a woman, for example. So and this is a brother now going out, you're expecting to shake hands, my name is so-and-so, what's your name? You go out and it's a woman, suddenly it's a different story, So, what are you going to do? So that means when you go out there, you tailor that talk based on the individual. Tell me, is there a difference between speaking, and I'm going to give you a list of people, tell me, is it different in approaching them, male or female? Different. Rabbi, or priest, or atheist. Very different. Old person or young person. Different. Someone your age. Also different, right? What about the environment where you're standing? What if it's like a busy street, a lot of cars, a lot of buses making noise, and you're trying to talk, you have to yell over that. Does that make a difference? Yeah. What if you're in the library, you have to be quiet? Makes a difference. So your environment affects your talk. The person affects your talk. The weather affects your talk. Does the weather affect your talk?
Yes.
Yes, it does. If it's summer and the butterflies are out and everything, and you can tell them about the beauty of this religion, therefore you can even use big words. But when it's cold, you're like, so just say La ilaha illallah and let's get this over with. You understand? So everything affects your talk. Everything affects your talk. So because there are so many different scenarios and situations and people and belief systems, the da'i has to be malleable, bendable, flexible, like metal, You have to be malleable, you have to be flexible. You have to adjust to situations. And sometimes you're going down a path and you discover something about the person. You have to change a little bit. One time I was talking to someone in the street, and he had a son with him. And it seemed like it was just like a father and son thing for them. The father wanted his son to be a man. Maybe the kid was 10 or 11 years old. So every time I spoke to the father, because naturally I think he's a decision maker, the father was just mostly concerned about me addressing his son. So every time I'm talking to him, he will say, you are talking to both of us, right? He wanted me to acknowledge his son as a man. So now I've got to talk to this little guy. Okay. So basically, then I look at him and I forget again. He tells us, you are talking to both of us, right? And then I look at the kid again. Now in retrospect, I think I should have just tried to get the kid to take the Shahada. And then when the father tries to jump in, well, he says, he's a grown man, what's your problem? But anyways, you might have to adjust midway. I'm going to spare you some of the stories. But a lot of times, let me tell you why this workshop is usually 6 hours long. It's not 6 hours long because we're learning entirely new techniques. Part of it is that we're unlearning the wrong way of giving da'wah. The wrong way of giving da'wah. We have so many rules about da'wah that just don't make any sense, or they don't have any study or anything to back them up or proof for them. And so many ideas and notions here and there that we need to unlearn all these ways and then also learn a few more new techniques. There's so many things we have sometimes rituals associated with taking the Shahada. And there was one time we were at this conference, and then I made this point, and one of the speakers there, he got up and he said, yeah, actually when I went to the masjid to take my Shahada years ago, So I went in, I told the brothers at the office, Assalamu alaikum, I'd like to become Muslim. So they said, okay sir, please have a seat, because the guy who gives shahadas is not here. Okay? They said, I sat down and I kept waiting for a long time, until this guy who gives shahadas came. Who is this guy who gives shahadas? I mean, I really want to meet this guy. Is he some certified shahada giver, yani? He's got a thing on his board, like, there, I'm certified, yeah. This is my card if you'd like to make sure, it's not expired yet, and say after me. Who is this guy, shahada giver? You know, or no, you have to do it after Jum'ah in front of the people. Who makes up all these rules, you know? So, okay, let's move on then. Now, so we looked at the internal, and by the internal I mean the problems you might have that might stop you from being an effective da'iyah. Now we want to look at problems that you might encounter on the side of the prospect. Now you do know that for these 2 days, when we talk about da'wah, we're talking about da'wah to non-Muslims. Because da'wah includes da'wah to Muslims, but we're specifically talking da'wah to non-Muslims. Everyone aware of that? Because sometimes after I'm done, some guy comes up, you didn't tell us about Muslims. The agreement was how to get a shahada. The Muslim already gave the shahada, or said the shahada, right? So, on the part of the mad'u, or let's call them the prospect, the one that you call into Islam, they also have some things that will stop them from becoming Muslim. One of the ones I want to focus on a little bit now is the first one. And the whole thing I said about why it takes 6 hours, because as we unlearn and we learn new techniques, it might be difficult for you to swallow some of these signs, or some of these points. And so I have to illustrate that a number of times, using different stories, and just to get the point across. So, a lot of times people will look for a sign from Allah that tells them this is the time to become Muslim. And a lot of times I will ask in the audience, the reverts, to tell us how long it took him to become Muslim, and why did you finally decide to do it? Someone will say something like, well, finally one of my Muslim friends said, why don't you just become Muslim now? There was a guy, he said, I was studying Islam for 3 years, waiting for something, for a day when I should become Muslim. And then, one of my friends just suddenly out of the blue called me up and said, why don't you just become Muslim right now over the phone? He said, I became Muslim over the phone right then and there. So then I asked him, what would you have done if your friend didn't call you and to ask you for the shahada? He said, I would still be studying Islam until now. Still studying. So, a lot of times people look for a sign. What do I mean by that? In a predominantly Christian society, there's a lot of emphasis on vision, or a clear sign from Allah. And you've probably seen this in their sitcoms, in their cartoons, in their movies. God, give me a sign. Lord, give me some sign. Tell me what to do. And, Paul of Tarsus, he became Christian when he was on the road to Damascus. He saw a vision. Augustine, later on, he's saying, not Augustine, the Emperor Constantine, he saw a vision as well. Even the Mormons, the guy saw a vision. All of these visions and clear signs. But Allah says in the Quran that His signs are subtle. And His signs are for those who contemplate and those who consider. And that's why, so the story goes that I went to pray Dhuhr at an Islamic center, and I saw, as I'm walking in, this Caucasian American man walking out with a bunch of books, and the whole staff of the center, they're walking out behind him and they're waving him goodbye. Alright? So what happened? He came to them and he said, I'm interested in getting some reading material about Islam. Their job as du'at is to fulfill that need. He said, I want to get more material. They said, here's more material. Okay. Now, what would you do here a little differently perhaps? You would what? What would you do differently? Yes, sir.
Give them a quick rundown of Islam beforehand.
Okay. Anything else? You're right.
I'd ask him what he read before.
Uh-huh. What he read before?
What he wants to read.
What he wants to read?
What he's looking for.
What he's looking for? Good. Is that what you were going to say? Excellent. So it's not that he says, I need reading material on Islam. You say, you want reading material on Islam? That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm giving you reading material on Islam. That's it. So, come on, you want to try to sell some more a little bit over here? Would you like fries with that? Would you like to supersize that? How come everyone else tries to sell you more, to give you more, but we just want to give the pamphlet? You want pamphlets? Here you go, pamphlets, yellow. You're not on my conscience now, leave. So, how come no one asked him anything? So basically I asked him this question. I said, when I saw him come out, I said, how are you doing? What's happening? He said, well, I've been interested in Islam for a while, and I came to get more reading material. Now, by the way, I'm looking for those of you who have not heard the workshop to respond to me more so than those who have. Okay? He said, I've been interested in Islam for a while, and I came to get more reading material. What would you ask now? There's no wrong question, by the way. And I'm going to tell you what I asked. That doesn't mean that's what you should have asked. There are many ways you can go around about this. So what would you ask? I've been interested in Islam for a while, and I came to get more reading material. What do you want to find out? Yes, sir.
Try and find out what's stopping him from becoming Muslim.
Okay,
Islam
good.
is good.
Try and find out what's stopping him from becoming Muslim. Everyone agree with that? Makes sense. What else? Yes, sir.
What do you know about Islam?
Okay. Yes? Sorry?
What got him interested in the first place?
Uh-huh. Good.
How long is a while?
How long is a while? I like that. Very good question. And all the questions were good. Does they have to be right there? So, how long is a while? And that's the question I asked him. Not that it's the best question, but maybe I've been interested in Islam for a while, meaning, for like 4 days. Maybe it's 5 years. Maybe it's 2 years. I want to know what this while is. Because now we have two branches here. So I asked, how long have you been interested in Islam? He said for about a year. Now, I know there's a problem. Immediately. Is there a problem?
Mm-hmm.
Why is there a problem?
Because he hasn't accepted the
Yeah,
Shahada yet.
he's been interested for a year and he didn't become Muslim. Something must be stopping him. Something must be stopping him. What could it be, possibly? It could be anything, okay? It could be waiting for a sign. Yeah? Anything else? Come on, there are a million and one things. It could be that he likes pork, he likes beer, yeah?
Family?
Family. What else?
Nobody's approached it?
Nobody's approached him. Yeah? What else?
Misconception.
Misconception. There you go. It's possible, right? So you need to, look, your job is, you're like a doctor. You diagnose. You need to find the problem. Always. You need to find the problem. Yeah? Great. I'm happy some people wrote that down. You're a doctor, you diagnose. You'll all get PhDs after tomorrow. We're done tomorrow. You're all doctors. You tell people I'm a doctor now. In what? No, I've got one. Look. So, look, one more time. He said he's been interested in Islam for a year. He hasn't become Muslim. You can conclude there is a problem. You need to find out what the problem is. So, give me some questions you can ask this person.
What's stopping you from becoming Muslim?
What's stopping you from becoming a Muslim? What else? That's right. You're right. No one's wrong. Yeah?
What do you dislike about Islam?
Okay. I said the guys who heard the workshop would take it easy. Thank you. Sister? Hold on, I'm just kidding. There's no wrong answer. No wrong question. Whatever you want to ask. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. That what?
Confused.
That you're confused about. Okay, good. These are all good questions. There's no wrong answer. You could have said, I'll ask him, what's your name? That's a right question. Because then you use that name in da'wah. So, I asked him, okay, what did you dislike about Islam? I don't want to know what he likes about Islam. I don't want to know that. Because I don't care. I want to know what he dislikes about Islam. I mean, he might tell me, if I ask him, what did you like about Islam? He'll say, I like the 5 prayers. I like the 5 prayers. Salah. I like Salah. He just said Salah. I like Hajj. Hajj is good. Zakah is nice. I like Zakah. I don't have time for that. I want to know, what did you dislike? What's stopping you? If you've been interested in Islam for a while, what's stopping you from becoming a Muslim? Maybe there's a concept that he doesn't like. Again, you're the doctor. When you go to the doctor and you say, I feel some dizziness in my head. He says, okay. Your nails, are they growing well? Yeah, nails are okay, good. Your nails are good. Knee joints, everything good with your knee joint? Yes, knee joints are good. Your hearing is good? Yeah, my hearing is great. How about your stomach? You have he doesn't ask about what's good. He tries to find out what's wrong. So you ask about what's wrong. So then, now let's follow the scenario now. Until now, we don't know what's happening with this guy. We're guessing. So I don't know if it's a sign. I don't know if it's a misconception. I don't know if it's his wife who won't accept it. Do you know? No. Come on, people, we don't know, right? We don't know. We're trying to find out. So, our first question, what did you dislike about Islam? I want to get right to the heart of the matter. And his answer was, he thought about it sincerely. And he said nothing. Well, now what do you think might be the problem? So now we know it's not a misconception. It's not something with Islam that he doesn't like. What is it now? Possibly, keep guessing, it's possible. Many other things. It could be his wife still. Or it could be that he's looking for a sign. So now he said, all right, and now I have only this hunch that he's maybe looking for a sign from Allah. So I'm going to test it. And if it's not, I'll go for, maybe it's family member or other influence. So I said, okay, I think you're actually looking for a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because, I'm guessing he's of Christian background, and most likely he wants a sign, and many times, people who, before they become Muslim, they keep waiting for that day when they just feel that this is the day to become Muslim. Everything is so romantic these days, I mean, it really is. Everything is romantic, and that's not a bad thing, It's good, I think, right? But, so there's too much emphasis on, they want to wake up one day after a good night of sleep, and they go like this, and then there's a robin singing on their windowsill, and the sun is out, and it's just, everything is so romantic. They say, this is the perfect day to become a Muslim. And I was told people, it's not that romantic. It could be just some, some imam with a broken accent is a little harsh. Come, say after me. And it's just, a very difficult situation. It's nothing romantic about it whatsoever. So I told him, look, I think you're actually waiting for a sign from Allah to tell you should become Muslim today. But let me tell you, and this is exactly what I told him. I said, listen. And by the way, a disclaimer here. As I am telling you this story, I become excited as I'm telling you this story. But that's not how I talk to people. Because I'll tell you, I said this. But I don't speak to them like that. I speak very calmly. But I'm only excited now telling you this story. So you speak to people very calmly, and very mature and calm and sane manner. Right? So I was telling him, look, the signs of Allah, they're very subtle. You don't expect a deep voice to tell you to become Muslim, or a beam of light to show up in a dark room or anything. Allah says in the Quran that verily, in these signs, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ أَوْ لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ. Verily, these things are signs for those who contemplate or those who consider. There's another verse in Surah Al-Ra'd, the thunder, in the beginning. So, if you contemplate the signs of Allah, you'll recognize it's a sign of Allah. If you consider, you'll find out it's a sign. It's not like neon signs. The signs of Allah are subtle. So I told him the signs, Allah tells us in the Quran that His signs are subtle. You already got your sign. What's His sign? Can you tell us? I told him you already got your sign. Someone who hasn't heard the workshop. What are His signs?
He's already extolling about Islam. That's why he said it at the Muslim.
Okay. So he's, the fact that he's in the masjid, he's been reading about Islam. What else?
That you're actually speaking to him?
Possibly that I'm speaking to him. What else? That there's nothing that he dislikes about Islam. Isn't that a good sign? So I told him, listen, and use those things to convince the person. So I said, look, now, how many people hate Islam? You've been interested in Islam for about a year. How many people believe what they hear about Islam in the media and have so many issues? I asked you, what did you dislike? You can't think of anything. That's your sign. Allah made you, out of millions of people who hate Islam, someone who loves his religion for a full year. You've been interested in it. You can't find anything wrong with it. That's your sign. And there was that simple, people. Not because, miraculously we said a few sentences. We said, inshallah, the right sentences after doing some kind of probing and questioning and diagnosis, So basically, I told him, I think you should become Muslim right now, and you have the rest of your life to read these books and many other books, and you're going to keep reading just like all of us until we go to our grave. So he actually just became Muslim right then and there. Now, how long was that talk? It was short. You know why it was short? When you diagnose, when you find and you address the exact issue, it becomes a short talk. The problem is many people, they want to keep talking and talking and talking. And they want to throw scientific facts, and they just want to throw things and hope something sticks finally. But that's not how you do it. So, shall we move on, or one more example with the sign? One more example. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your enthusiasm. It's a little early, huh? We need some coffee in here. But okay, one more example. This was a big convention in the United States, big bazaar room, and they told me that there was a woman who was interested in becoming Muslim. So I went to her. It was this African American woman, probably in her mid to late 40s. Her name was Adrian, and she was standing in the middle of the bazaar room with thousands and thousands of Muslims. So the minute I get there, I've been told it's a woman, but I don't know what her story is. Does she know anything about Islam, or she knows zero about Islam? Is she atheist, Baptist, or just some other denomination? I don't have a clue. So I need to find out. So I came to her, said, I heard that you're interested in Islam. She said, yeah, I'm quite interested in Islam. I said, how long have you been interested in Islam? Does that make a difference? Makes a big difference. She said 3 years. So now where am I going? Where's your mind going now? 3 years. Now you're thinking, go ahead. What's the problem? And it could be what? It could be many things. Sign, could be misconception, could be family members, this and that. And in her case, first of all, she said that. No, so now I said, do you know much about Islam? She said, yeah, I read some books about Islam. So you believe that Allah is one? She said, yes. You believe that the Prophet ﷺ was actually the Prophet of Allah? She said, yes. The 5 pillars make sense? Yes. And I think we did a review of the 5 pillars. You could do that in 50 seconds. Fine. So now she has the ingredients of becoming a Muslim, right? So if someone has the ingredients of becoming a Muslim, what's your next step? Go ahead. Now, if they have all the ingredients of becoming a Muslim, then you ask for the Shahada. Make sense? They have all the ingredients of becoming a Muslim, you ask for the Shahada. If they're missing them, don't ask for the Shahada. Maybe not. But she now had everything, the 5 pillars, the Tawheed, the Prophet ﷺ. So I said, you should become Muslim then. He said, no. Now I need to find out what the obstacle is. So she said that her fiance told her, when you're going to go to that Muslim convention, don't come back as a Muslim. Now how do you clear that? How do you clear that? How do you fix that? Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, in her way of thinking, she went as a Muslim.
Possibly. It's very possible. I mean, you could argue with, tell her that, you're basically there, you just have to say it. What else? Yes, sir?
You discussed the importance of either following or taking the opinion of her fiance, or taking the opinion which is expressed in Islam.
I didn't quite get you. I'm sorry. But I think you're on the right track.
What would be more important to her? What her fiance says about Islam, or what she's hearing from us?
There you go. Very good. Yes, sir?
What is your fiance's problem with Islam?
Okay, that's possible. Yes, sir?
Kind of along those lines, but also why did you bring him with you?
Okay, that's possible. Yes, sir?
Should we do it secretly at first and something it out?
Okay. Yes, sir? Nothing's wrong here, by the way. Yeah?
Could you say, you never know when you're gonna die?
Uh-huh. And keep pushing that thought further.
You might die by the time you go home.
So, okay, very good. So now, what we're getting her to see is that, you're reminding her of the akhirah, people. It's Allah and it's eternity in the hellfire versus, this guy. And that's basically what I told her. So we fixed this problem very quickly, actually. Said, okay, listen. On the Day of Judgment, everyone will stand in front of Allah by themselves. Allah will call you by name. And you'll be held accountable for your deeds. And you'll be held accountable for everything. The disbelievers, they will just be held accountable. So your boyfriend, or your fiancé, or your family or father, nobody will stand and answer on your behalf. So you're responsible for your deeds. So then basically we took care of that, and that was the end of that problem. I said, now, become Muslim. Because now there was an obstacle, we fixed it, you ask for the Shahada again, right? Because that was what's stopping her in the beginning. You asked for the Shahada again. She said, no, I just want to, just not ready, I want to take my time, or want to see how things go. So I figured maybe she's waiting for a sign from Allah. Now let's see, maybe I was right, maybe I was wrong, I don't know. So I'm testing it. I told her, look, I think you're waiting for a sign. Let me ask you this. If you were going to get a sign from Allah, if Allah wants to tell you you need to become Muslim, will you expect to be walking down the street and then you see a big neon sign that's flashing that says, Adrian, become Muslim right now? She said, no, I won't expect something like that. So you might expect that sign of Allah to be subtle a little bit. She said, possibly. I said, like some short, annoying man with glasses telling you need to become Muslim right now. So she laughed, she said, that's possible. So then I'm trying to get her to see that, you've got your sign from Allah. So I told her, listen, and you're not going to find anything phenomenal about what I'm about to tell you. It's very simple things. You're just trying to get someone in front of you to think. I told her, how many Muslims are in this room right now? She said, thousands of Muslims. I said, how many non-Muslims do you think are inside this room right now? She said, probably just me. I said, how many non-Muslims are outside of this room? She said, billions of non-Muslims. I said, okay. From the billions of non-Muslims in the world, Allah chose you to put you in a room amongst thousands of Muslims. And you've been interested in his religion for 3 years. I asked you if there's anything you dislike about his religion. You said no. I told you, give me a good reason. I forgot to mention this. Give me a good reason you won't become Muslim right now. A good reason and I'll leave. I won't bother you, but just give me a good reason. Nothing like, I gotta give me a good reason. And she couldn't think of a reason. I said, I asked you for a reason, you couldn't think of one. We went over the ingredients of being a Muslim, and you're essentially there, as far as belief, and you're still waiting for a sign from Allah. So do you think that was enough to get her to become Muslim? No. So basically, in the end I told her, and I don't do this with everybody, but sometimes you can see how much you can go with people based on their personality and how friendly they are. I said, listen, I actually have to go now. I'm going to give you 3 seconds to become Muslim. No pressure, right? Because it was kind of a jokingly I said, look, I'm going to give you 3 seconds, I have to go now. 1, 2, 3. I started to walk away. She said, what? You're just going to leave me like that? And she became Muslim. So, again, it was a combination. In this example, we see how many ways you can say, well, maybe this is the issue. Maybe that's the issue. And you can ask. Like one brother said earlier, one of the easiest ways to find the obstacle is to say, what is stopping you from becoming a Muslim right now? When do you ask this question? When they have the ingredients, the 5 pillars. You say, what's stopping me from becoming a Muslim right now? Then they will come out with it. Oh, it's my fiance. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Or it could be any one of these. So when you're looking for this external problem, it could be a sign. It could be a misconception they have about Islam or about the Muslim. That's why you ask, what did you dislike, or what caused you any problems, or what caused friction in your heart. You find out what the misconception is. Or it might be the influence of family or religion. It might be that you think, religion just causes problems worldwide. You might experience that on campus in a few weeks. Someone might tell you, well, I don't like to talk about religion because most people die, or more people die because of religion than anything else on earth. Have you heard that before? Okay. Now, who would like to answer that for us? How do you refute that? Someone who hasn't heard the workshop, please. Let's get some fresh ideas here. And Tafadhal.
The 2 most destructive wars in human history had no religion in them whatsoever.
Okay, very good. Yes, sir. Same thing?
No, I was going to say the plague and stuff like that.
Okay, so people die because of diseases, possibly. Okay, yeah?
I was just going to say a lot of people died from wars since the beginning of time.
Okay, but what if they argue these are religious wars?
But not necessarily.
Okay, good. Yeah?
Using examples.
Good.
Try to.
He said, give me some examples. Yeah.
Try to get to explain to them the difference between religion and followers.
He's trying to keep the blame away from religion and?
Yeah, it's more of like a political side of religion. It's not really like a religious thing.
Okay, good. All these answers were actually correct. And the truth is, that statement is false. Don't accept that statement. It's false. That more people died because of religion than anything else on earth. That's wrong. It's not true. If you do the math, you'll find more people died because of things related to land, money, conquering people for these purposes, and more so than religion. And when religion is brought into the mix, it's not purely because of scripture, but because of also another factor on top of things. And again, the example I always use is New York City has a lot of Jews living there. It has a lot of Palestinians living there. Why don't Jews come and bulldoze apartment buildings and have Palestinians in them in New York City? And why don't they kill and have altercations in New York City? Because neither religious scripture says you need to kill the other person simply because they're Jewish, or you need to kill the other person simply because they're Muslim. It doesn't say that anywhere in their scripture, does it? But because there's an additional factor when it comes to their dispute there's a land dispute. So you see what I'm saying? So it's not that there's any religion in the world where you open it and the scripture says just go kill the other person because he doesn't belong to your faith. But there's always somewhere and some way that they bring religion in. Just like with the Crusades, from the European side, they brought the religion into it to get people to join armies, And they had, images, Muslims were desecrating Christian sites, and that got people so riled up, and they joined the armies in such huge numbers that they were not equipped to feed them, and a lot of them died of starvation. So a lot of times religion is used also to rile people up and so on and so forth. But was there any war that was purely because of religion or because of scripture that said just kill the other guy, just kill him, just like that? So anyway, so the idea is that it's not true, and don't accept that argument. Anyways, is it time for a break or something? Have we done an hour?
It's up to you.
I don't want people to get too bored. What time is it?
11:25.
11:25, and lunch is 12:30. What is 1? Okay, then maybe we should take a break. So, if you want a 10-minute break, is that long? Okay, 10-minute break. I'm going to be here. Now, before you go, one second, sorry. Before you go. Now, what's going to happen is, during the break, you'll come to me and say, what do I say to someone who believes in Trinity? And I will say, actually the part on Trinity is coming up in the notes. Then someone else will come and say, what do I say to the one who's an atheist? And I will say, actually, if you wait with us, it's coming up in the notes in a little bit. Then someone will come and say, how do I deal with the Hindu? And I'm going to say, well, you know what, Hindu is coming up in the notes in a little bit. So, I welcome all your questions. Let's ask me any question related to something we've already discussed, because there's a lot coming up. So try to ask me about things we've discussed. Say, I didn't understand that slide, or you skipped this slide, what is that saying? And so during the break, because we don't have too much time, and I want us to get as much as we can out of these 2 days. So my break is not my break is for you. I'll be sitting here, and maybe next break will be entirely for the sisters, or a portion of lunch will be for sisters so they can ask their questions. So 10 minutes, inshallah. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam.